Okay guys, I'm gonna shed a little light on a story that's making the rounds of the Fight City. Everyone's talking about it here. Adonis Stevenson, Eleider Alvarez. Now, before I get to my overall point, I want to give you guys some context. So, Adonis Stevenson, after watching Badu Jack have his triumphant win and win his belt, tweeted out that since Andre Ward was ducking him, how about having a fight with him? Which ordinarily would be fine. However, without mentioning the fact that he does have a mandatory, and has had a mandatory for quite a while. I'll get to that. At another point in time, doing an interview, a reporter asked him about this comment, and then asked him about a possible fight in October. Because the rumors on the street here is that Yvon Michel was going to have a big card coming in the fall. Now, the reporter used the word October because fall doesn't really translate, but doesn't matter. And Adonis Stevenson replied almost angrily that nobody decides when he fights. That he's the champ and that he's not fighting in October. And that he'll fight when he decides to fight. That only Al Heyman gets to talk to him about when he's fighting and who he's fighting. As for Eleider Alvarez, this is clearly a shot at him. Again, he had a press conference, Eleider Alvarez that is, at Koinsmittel. It made the rounds of the news and on Facebook and whatnot. Basically, he's saying he's sticking to his guns, that he's got a promise. Now, to give you guys context of what's going on here, I've been a long-time Adonis Superman fan. I've supported him when a lot of people talked negatively about him. I stood up for him. And I do so because he fights out of my city and he has represented us proudly. There are things that he does that I disagree with, but that doesn't change the fact that I support him. Now, I'm not a big fan of local fights, but when they're big and when there's no choice, I accept them. And I even see them as necessary. It's sometimes a changing of a guard, or proof that somebody is that good. More importantly, local fights really get things stirring in the city. Overall, this has been going on for quite some time. If we go back a few years, 2013 to be precise, to when he fought Chad Dawson and won the belt. It was a great night. Chad Dawson was a big name in the sport. He followed that up with Traverse Cloud, which, again, big name in the sport at the time, had an undefeated record. It was definitely something worthwhile. Then he fought Tony Bellew, Andre Fonfara, Dmitry Shuhosky, Sakio Bika, Tommy Karpinski, Thomas Williams Jr., and Andre Fonfara again. Now, all these other guys that I've mentioned, except for Thomas Williams, had suffered some losses. And although they were highly ranked in the WBC, they weren't necessarily ranked elsewhere as high. Some of these guys deserved their shot against Adonis Stevenson. However, Eleider Alvarez, if we go back to that same period of time in 2013, was fighting guys like Edison Miranda in 10-rounders, which he beat in a unanimous decision. Then he fought Andrew Gardner, and then fought Alexander Johnson, Rhino Lindenberg, Anatoly Dachenko, Isidro Pereto. There wasn't much going on. Up until 2015, where he fought Isaac Chilemba. Now at the time, Isaac Chilemba was on everybody's lips. He had a beautiful record. He was a big name. It was a 12-round fight. And Eleider won the majority decision. More importantly, he won the WBC silver belt, which ordinarily doesn't mean huge things except for the fact that it makes you the #1 contender. 2015, the end of 2015, he has his fight, he gets his belt. 2016 starts. The summer of 2016, he fights Robert Berridge. Now, if we go look at 2016 in July, Adonis Stevenson was between fighting Karpinski and Sakio Bika. He could have fought Eleider at this point in time. But the they were talking about how Eleider wasn't a big enough draw at the time, and, you know, Adonis got to make money. It's great that he has the title, but it's got to be worth something. So, you know, we understood, and we waited. Then, December rolled around for 2016. Adonis had already fought Thomas Williams Jr. Now, again, that could have been Eleider. But, yeah, no. He fought Thomas Williams. So now we shoot forward to 2017. It's already 2 fights that Adonis has been making his mandatory weight for money reasons. Now, to add a little more context to this, I want to point out that Eleider Alvarez also has kids, also needs money, and if you were to believe Adonis Stevenson's social media, he doesn't need money. However, Eleider Alvarez lives in a 4.5 in Saint Michel. So, you know, Adonis talking about money. Anyway, so now Eleider is looking at a guaranteed fight against Adonis Stevenson. He's hoping to drum up some money and get some sponsors so he can have a real serious training camp and make a run for the title. They offer him Luchin Bute. Now, Luchin was unsuccessful at his prior weight category and was a big name here in Quebec. And the idea would be that should Eleider beat Bute, his name would rise up in the Quebec hearts and minds. And he would also become a bigger draw. And it would also permit him to make a substantial amount of money. His very first big paycheck. In order to send some money back home, take care of his kids, pay bills, because he's not doing anything else. Boxing is how he earns his living. So he takes the fight with Bute. This is February 2017. Okay? Adonis hasn't fought since July 2016. He fights Bute, beats Bute. Then somehow, someway, the talks of Eleider being next turned to Jean-Pascal. Why? Well, Jean-Pascal, also big name in Quebec. Basically all the same reasons that they offered us the Bute-Eleider fight. Plus, there was the extra added that Pascal and Adonis had some legitimate heat and didn't like each other. And that them facing each other would mean more money for Adonis. So obviously Adonis was all for it. And, I mean, he already beat Fanfara, so it's not like he was taking a real big chance. Nothing against Fanfara, but, you know, boxing is still boxing. But as far as, you know, deadly fighters out there, there's a bunch of guys he could have fought that were much scarier than Andre Fanfara. So, point being, he fights Andre Fanfara, and again, Eleider Alvarez offers to step aside. Now, this time though, with the agreement that his #1 titleship, his contendership, same as with Bute, is on the line, but with one added stipulation. That no matter what, the next fight be the winner of Pascal Eleider. So much so that the president of the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman, ordered it as such. And we had our fights. Andre Fanfara lost by TKO. Jean-Pascal lost a majority decision. Now, a lot of people were saying, yeah, but, you know, Eleider hasn't done much, and Bute Pascal. Yeah, but he hasn't really knocked out anybody in a couple years. Bute. Yeah, but Adonis needs the money. Now, here's the thing. A, I understand wanting the money, being at the end of your career. You know that your time is limited and you want to cash out as big as you can. Understandable. But promises are promises. And if this guy wasn't from Montreal, I'd be with you. Fuck him. But he's from here. and he's not too far better off than I am. And that's insane, considering that I've watched him risk his life. Here's the thing, if you respect boxing, if you respect the belt you're wearing, forget your manager, forget who the promoter is, forget what coaches say, and forget what the fans say. What would Manny Stewart do? What would he tell you? How important is that belt? Here's the thing. It's really important. If we take that belt from you, which could happen should you, for some reason, say no to this fight. But if we stripped you of that belt, you no longer have a bargaining chip to fight Ward or Badu Jack. Now I get it. Badu is on the TMT team. Therefore, he also works with Al Heyman. That fight will come together easy. Adonis, you're a very proud, and some might say arrogant man. And you reacted angrily at the idea that was proposed by some journalist out there that you were scared of Eleider. Very angrily. I say this to you. You messed up. Because if you wanted to tiptoe past Eleider Alvarez, you should have kept your mouth shut. But you didn't. You did the exact opposite of what you want the outcome to be. By talking about it, by reacting angrily at the idea you'd be scared of anybody, by having to express the fact that you're here to make some money, you've also left yourself vulnerable to a very important thing. Now everybody knows who Eleider Alvarez is. He's the #1 mandatory, and the guy that's going to be wearing your belt unless you fight him. Now I'm not going to do a decision or a pick on this video. The truth is, in a perfect world, they would go off and beat everyone else and then fight each other to unify the titles. In my world, that is. But that's not what's going to happen. Adonis Stevenson, you gotta do what's right. You gotta respect the belt. Your one bargaining chip. Because if you ain't got it, you're gonna be fighting Kovalev. So that's it for me. Make sure you check out my other videos, Manny's thoughts. Make sure you check out the Fight City. Hit me up on social media if you like the video. I'll see you guys soon.